Good day again, young people. No, today we're looking at charts and spreadsheets. Yes, we normally teach charts at the end of spreadsheet tutorials, but looking at charts right now because after this will be, well, let's just say easier stuff, pivot tables, filters, both simple and advanced filters, and sorting, formatting, those things. I may split that into two videos as well because that's a lot to teach, but or to go through in one video, but I'll make sure that we cover all the relevant areas for the 60 syllabus. But charts is an important area. Let's look at charts right now, and I should probably number these. I don't have them bulleted. Let's just number them. All right. So for CXC purposes, really we deal with three kinds of charts. All right, for CXC. Now, what's a chart really? All right. Charts basically represent numerical data by using graphs or pictogram like situation. All right. It's a pictorial representation of numerical data. That's simply what a chart is. And for CXC purposes, well, we know that there are many kind of charts. Several. You can open, when you open Excel, you'll see that there are several. But CXC really specializes in just three, because three tend to be relevant for almost any situation. And notice I said almost any situation, because the type of chart you use or decide to choose should be relevant or appropriate for the data that you're going to represent. Remember, students, that charts aren't there to just look nice and fancy, and some of them basically almost can't be read, illegible basically, because it's just too much stuff on it, glittering and sparkling and all kind of stuff, right? So charts simply represent numerical data, and you should choose the chart that's appropriate for the data that you want to represent. All right, first of all, a pie chart. A pie chart is used to show proportions of an element. I think we should change pie to pizza, because I think modern day children know more about pizza than pies. Yeah. So let's imagine a pizza chart. All right. So pizza, the whole pizza is just one, like Hawaiian or vegetarian or cheese or whatever the case may be. There's one pizza. Well, you have some pizzas now you can get half and half this, but usually it's one element, and you get proportions, the slices. Yeah. And when you go for your slice of pizza, you always want the biggest slice. You look for the biggest slice first and you pull that out, right? So a pie chart, pizza chart, there's no such thing as a pizza chart, young people. Pie chart, but we're kind of using a contemporary term. All right, so pie charts show proportions. All right. Then you have bar or column charts. Now, column charts simply vertical, bar chart horizontal, which we'll look at a little bit from this. And these best are used to compare two or more elements. Fair enough? And that we'll look at a little bit from now as well. And we also have line charts. Line charts are definitely trend charts, are time charts. So you can see whether you're progressing or regressing or staying the same flat over a period of time. So line charts best display trend. So when you're going to, or trends I should say, when you're going to, or even compare trends, right? So when you're going to create a chart, don't just pull a chart. No. Use the chart that is most appropriate for the data that you're going to represent. And here's some data. The last set that we were looking at, let me just put this onto a new page because I don't want to actually have too much data here that make this thing look cluttered. All right, so let me just paste this in. All right, so here is our chart data that we want to use. All right, so here is the name of the persons over here, students' names, their ages, as well as score 1, score 2, score 3. So we can just imagine that these basically represent tests, if you want to call it that. Let's say call it tests. All right, so let me just narrow these up because I may need a little bit of space. Just do this as well. I just narrow everything at once. When you double click, just resize to the largest entry. All right. So then this is what our chart looks like. Our data set looks like. Now there are two ways you can create charts: with adjacent ranges. We're going to look at that as well. These are adjacent ranges. You can click at one point, hold the shift key on the keyboard, click at the opposite corner, or you can simply drag and so on. And notice each time I'm highlighting the labels as well. Alright, this is an adjacent range because A1 to A10 is right next to B1 and B10, right next to C1 to C10 and D1 to D10. They are right next to each other, so that's what we call an adjacent range. Or non-adjacent ranges where you highlight, for example, let's say the names over here. Then you can say hold the control key on the keyboard, and while holding it down, you highlight from score 1 and pull down all of score 1, and then score 3, same thing, click and hold down, and that's what it looks like. So that's what we call non-adjacent ranges. You have to use your control key to assist you in that. Not the shift key this time, but the control key. Alright, let's get into the charts now. Let us say we want to create, let me get rid of ages because age is going to throw me out a bit. Delete, right? Just want to use the scores alone, all right? So let's say I want to compare the scores for everybody here. A chart with everything. Everybody's scores for all three scores. So for this situation, it's best we use which chart do you think? Pie chart, line chart, which one? If, for example, this is the first month, second month, third month, you could do that. A line chart would be good. So you can see whether you're progressing or regressing. But simply comparing, let's use a column chart. Alright, column chart. And that's it. Now, because I selected the data, if you notice, score 1, score 2, score 3 is already there. This chart isn't finished, you know. Then I could just type in here and put in a chart title now, because your charts must always have titled student scores. Student scores. Alright. And I can even say test scores as well. Test scores. So this is what it is, right? My chart is almost finished, but not yet, because it is still leaving out some data. You must have the y-axis labeled and the x-axis. So for that, in this version 2019, and I believe 2016 and I think 2014 as well, Office, I'm not sure if Office 365 is the same, but I'm almost sure 2010 and 07 and maybe 2012 is a slightly different way to do this part. All right, I go here and click add chart element and go to axes, right? So I go to the axis titles and I click primary horizontal axis. Tap on that, and what labels do these have down here? They have names or students. So I can just put in here students or names, but I think for me best is I put students. All right, so this has students down here. So here the students down here, and then over this side you'll have the scores. That's the y-axis. So chart element again, and go to axis titles and click primary vertical, and then I click in here, and then I can just type in now scores. All right, so I put scores or score or scores, yeah, plural, and that's it. So this is my complete chart. A complete chart, except a complete chart must have the chart title. Every chart must have a chart title, and every chart except a pie chart should have axis labels, as in axis titles. Students here, scores there. You must have axis titles there to show, except for a pie chart. All right, now this is one chart created. This is perfectly done. Okay, let me move the chart up here to a new sheet, and let me call the sheet, for example, column scores. All right, and then here it looks now nice on a new sheet. You don't have to do this, but I choose to do that. And then come back here and look at these scores again. Now let me show you what happens if I don't. Let me show you this. I want to show you what an error many students make. I highlight everything, including the words score 1, score 2, score 3, and students. I highlight those, go to insert, and then I'll click, for example, the column chart. Let me choose this one, for example. If you notice, I have score 1, score 2, score 3, and they are coded as in legend. They have a legend there that shows score 1 is blue, score 2 is orange, it appears, and score 3 is gray. Let me get rid of this chart now. If I do this, let me just highlight the names then, and I don't highlight the labels up here. Look what happens when I click insert and choose any one of these charts. I have series 1, series 2, series 3, and I don't know what these series are. Yes, there are ways you can go and correct this, alright? But should I? Alright, yeah. Right click in the chart area, and then you can select data type. Now, for series 1, I can click here, series 1, and let me click add. Let me move the chart out. Pull this up. Series 1 is, let's say, score. Alright. And click OK. Alright. It should be series 1. Let me see. Add the title here. And then series name. Click up here. Click score 1. And then I should click OK. And I should put in score 1. OK. See score 1 here. I should rename it. You see the problems it creates now? Because I don't even spend much time doing that particular feature because I don't use it much. Because I always just make sure to select the proper data from the beginning. So if you do this and you don't want to create your chart again from scratch, you are now going to have to go here. Alright, let's click the chart here. Whichever chart you create. Go and select data, and then now let's say edit. All right, and I click that. Let's say score 1, down arrow, click OK. Click. See score 1 come in now here. Got score 2 here. Edit. You see, I don't even do this part much because I usually make sure to score 2 hiding behind there. Don't know when I get to score 3 right now. To score 2 come in, and do the same thing for series 2. I click OK. So series 3. So this is the headache you're not going to be in when you don't select the data properly when you're creating your chart. That's basically what happens. I don't find myself in that problem because I usually just select the data properly from day one. Alright. So that is what you'd have to end up doing. So to me, it's just easy to just go re-highlight everything and then just do it properly. Insert and then chart. This is the type of chart you want. Here's a example of a bar chart. See, it's just that these are horizontal now. And then here, could put the same title. Student scores. And then you go here and now it's adding the labels. So this time the y-axis is the names of students, right? So axis titles is primary horizontal. These are the scores now down here. All right, so scores are here, and you go next, add the next element, axis titles, primary vertical, and then the names are here. So that is basically an idea of how you'd go about. And let me see, these are names. What is the students? Let's put names of students. Yeah, put that. Oh, that's spelled wrong. Students. All right. So that is basically what it would look like. All right. So that's as simple as it is. And I'm going to delete this chart because I really don't need that. I was pushing now to get ahead of the time because I've been using a lot of time already. Now, what if we want to compare these student scores and see the proportion of how they performed? Let us say I want to, now the pie chart can't represent this data. It can only use one score. All right, that's how a pie chart would work. You'd only highlight this and one data set. For example, this element score 1. Or you could highlight this and use a control key and select score 2. Or likewise for score 3. A pie chart will not allow you, let me highlight, let's say just these two. Go to insert and look at a pie chart. And this is You see, it only used score 1. It wouldn't even try to pick up score 2. Alright, it won't work. Alright, so the pie chart would work. Now let's work with this and use a control key to give an idea of non-adjacent ranges. So I select this score 3 now using the control key and put insert, and let's select the pie chart, and I like the 3D pie and score 3, yes. But when you do a pie chart, one of the things you should do is that it's usually in percentages. Pie charts should normally show percentages, and this is basically what the pie chart would look like. There are no x-axis or y-axis labels. Right, so it's the different colors, or the legend here represents for the various persons. All right, that is how it works. That's how a pie chart would work. Now let me just move to a new location and call this, yes, pizza chart. Yeah, pizza chart for score 3. All right, so here is our pie chart or our pizza chart, because young people don't know anything about pies anymore. All right, so what if this were, let us say, for example, test 1. Let's say, let's do this. Let's say September, October, and let's say November. All right, so these are your test scores or your average for September, October, November. Now let's just work with just, because I don't want to have too much lines, let's just work with just the first 3 persons, and we can look at this now and see how much more meaning this line chart would have. And then now let's select this line chart and let's select this one, and you can see right away all 3 persons regressed. Started off about the same place near 100 and ended up, for example, Mrs. Vaslov, she regressed the least. Then was Miss Peterson, then was Mr. Lawrence. So you can look at the pie chart right away and pick that up. But we can add a chart title. Let's say term grade, term score, student term score. Let's choose an appropriate title for the chart. Student term 1 score, or term 1 scores. Students term 1 scores. All right, and of course same principle applies down here. Chart title, add chart titles. Primary horizontal axis is months. All right, that's what we see here, September, October, November. And then for the y-axis, now we put in the vertical title. All right, now we put in scores. All right, scores, and that's it. This is our line chart, and as you can see, when you use a line chart, you're able to pick up so much more easily on exactly what is happening. You can right click here, you can right click on the data, and then you can change chart type if you wish. You can change it to a column chart. Let's look at column chart and click OK. But you see, while you see this, it doesn't add as much meaning as the line chart. So each chart is appropriate, undo that. Each chart is appropriate for its data that is trying to represent. And you should use, not even should, you must use the appropriate chart to represent your data. And since many students are doing social studies, so you have to do your SBA with doing charts, these are things you have to pay attention to. Not just in IT class, all right? But these are things that are very important to pay attention to children, and this is how it works, all right? Is there anything else I can think of that I need to tell you about charts right now? No, except to make sure you label your charts properly. All charts should have title, y-axis and x-axis labels. All right, must have a chart title, must have labels for the axes, except a pie chart. A pie chart will just have title. All right, no x or y axis. Have a good day, guys.